Ladies and gentlemen, you welcome to this edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinox Television, live from our headquarters in Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. I am Bable Jonathan. In our top stories in this edition of the news, a victim of the Anglophone crisis, a mother of 9, tells Equinox Television that her heart beats skyrockets whenever she hears the sound of guns, and she recounted the pains and the trauma she goes through in Anglophone Cameroon to Equinox TV's Derek Jato. You will hear her in this newscast. And non-governmental organizations in the Republic of Cameroon react to statements made by the Minister of Territorial Administration, Tanganji Paul, who accused them of inflating figures as far as the Anglophone crisis is concerned. The impact of the crisis, and notably the persons who have been displaced and who are in need of aid. You will hear the details in this newscast. Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us on this edition of the news. Ahead of President Paul Biya's end-of-year address to the nation tomorrow, some inhabitants of Anglophone Cameroon are expecting the head of state to announce concrete actions that will put a definite end to the crisis, to the killings, the destruction of properties, abductions, and other atrocities being committed in the northwest and southwest regions of the country within the context of the Anglophone crisis. Some of them in Kupe Maninguba, southwest region of the country. Spoke to reporter Jacquino Molong and Innocent as they compiled this report.
Few hours from now, the head of state will deliver his end-of-year speech to Cameroonians at home and abroad. 2019 has been marked by the socio-political crisis in Anglophone Cameroon, in particular, a limping economy, and the several crises stemming from poor basic social amenities. In Kupe Maninguba division of the restive southwest region, the population expects from the President of the Republic, Paul Biya, concrete solutions to put absolute end to the armed conflicts in the northwest and the southwest regions.
This crisis has really killed a lot of people. You see, Tombe is empty. Look at the streets. Tombe is empty. There's nobody. All of us have evacuated. We're here having our small work. People are working their farms.
So that those women and children that are internally and externally displaced could regain their normal activities, come back to their hometowns, and continue their daily activities as they used to do. That way, it will help solve the problem of hunger and every other thing that these children are suffering from. That is what we are expecting from the head of state, to solve the Anglophone problems and solve it once and for all, so that peace could finally restore into this country. Being a special status, we realize that it's not something that is bad, but then we are expecting for the head of state to explain it for us and to put it into implementation. That's all.
Others expect the head of state to have mercy on children who have been out of school since 2016.
Sache que ces enfants sont en train de se périr dans les forêts, dans des brousses, pour que les enfants rentrent encore à l'école, pour que les enfants ne souffrent pas au quartier. Nous, on ne connaît plus quoi faire.
The limping economy, according to this individual, needs to be addressed.
Notre économie est bloquée, rien ne passe, rien ne marche.
That nothing is progressing. Farm produce are enormous, but very few afford at discouraging price.
Surtout, rien ne marche. Voilà, la femme, elle ne fait absolument rien. Elle met le truc au marché, on n'achète pas.
Another citizen wishes the alarming rates of youth unemployment be talked about by President Paul Biya.
We the youths, we don't have job to do. Cameroon, a lot of youths are idling, especially here in Tombe. You see most of the young men here, they are Okada riders. That's where they try to get their end of living. So we are praying that they should create more jobs so that the youth can be have something to do to take care of their families.
Also that initiator of the October 2019 Major National Dialogue personally explains the form of the special status given the English-speaking regions, which has been criticized by opposition politicians and serious legal minds.
And with regards to the consequences of the Anglophone crisis, Derek Jatto, a correspondent in the Southwest region, spoke to a victim of the Anglophone crisis who recounts the pains and the trauma she goes through whenever she hears the sound of guns. And the mother of 9 said to Derek Jatto that her heartbeats skyrocket whenever gunshots are heard around her vicinity. Details in this report.
Doctors
have advised this mother of 9 children, a widow and a victim of the war in the Anglophone regions, to always keep calm whenever she hears gunshot if she wants to be alive.
I go hospital with 10,000. Doctor tell me say you die when gun no shoot you.
Mami Julie Ateli told EQUINOXE television that whenever they start shooting, her heartbeat changes.
They shoot, I saw my heart make beep 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 beep. I just fear. That's I go toilet go home me.
And doctors say that alone can kill her. They have kept her on medication.
When I walk on mountain, 1 liter water, I drink them. Rest, I drink them. I rest 3 times, I go drink her all.
She has lost everything too to the war, and today she is a member of the Ekona community group under the Center for Rural Action, Sephora. And its founder, Hansi Netwell, explains why his organization changed its orientation in 2016.
Since 2016, Sephora changed to the prevailing circumstances in the Northwest and Southwest region and involved itself in humanitarian action.
And get a picking. You have had your die.
Mary Wanyi says if her husband was alive, he could have been the one to go and search for her daughter, who was a student displaced by the war, and today she is missing. Because on her part, she is sick and helpless.
No, sir, the girl on the don't do wrong where they go school. So I want to go school. So now I don't know me. We say I could also find it. The war start for the very day we start. We run go bush. We go before bush. One come back the run burn house.
Stories after stories, these Ekona women displaced by the war begged us to listen when we met them in their go farm, nurtured and matured by the Center for Rural Action, Sephora.
We have effectively trained people in these communities on the sustainable cultivation of short cycle crops such as maize, soybean, dwarf beans, carrots, green pepper, to name a few. At Ekona, in which we are today, they have over 3 hectares of maize planted in the hub.
Today, these war victims are beneficiaries.
It don't help me because it don't can. God bless them, give them long life. We are glad for una. If you know me una, oh, I don't know where to for to.
And everyone is involved: the host communities and the internally displaced persons.
And officials and militants of the Cameroon People's Party, the CPP, and of course the Stand Up for Cameroon Civil Society organization were in Tiko in the southwest region of the country this weekend to bring some aid to internally displaced persons, and they met with the IDPs who are living in that part of the country, many of them in very difficult conditions, unable to put food on the table on daily basis, and unable of course to afford for their basic needs as a result of the fact that they have been they were kicked out of their homes by violence. They were kicked out of their homes by continuous gun battles, and of course the now internally displaced persons seeking refuge out of their homes. Will be coming back to this report in our subsequent news editions. In the meantime, he made a statement that attracted stiff criticisms against him. He said that the situation is improving in Anglophone Cameroon. He is Cardinal Tumi, Archbishop Emeritus of the Douala Metropolitan Archdiocese of the Roman Catholic Church and Chief Convener of the Anglophone General Conference. He maintains that the situation is improving, and he says that he has facts indicating that there is a gradual move towards a return to normalcy and peace in Anglophone Cameroon. Take a listen to Christian Cardinal Toomey. He was speaking to us over the weekend in La Vérité en Face on Equinox Television. Recently, you made a statement which attracted a lot of criticism on you.
Yes.
Very hard criticisms.
Yes.
Some think that the cardinal has changed. The cardinal has tested something from
That's
the
what
under
you said. That was paid. I've been
You
paid.
said the situation is improving. And
yes.
This is in sharp
and I
contrast,
hold that today.
This is in sharp contrast with the opinion of other persons who have equally been there, who have witnessed some of the happenings there. And they think that the situation is getting worse, not improving.
Say that,
so what did you mean by the situation is improving?
You know, my mother's house was attacked and doors broken. I stand to repeat exactly what I said. The situation is changing. What are the proofs today? The proofs that some people are going back. Some people are going back. Some who ran here are going back. That's a simple example. Yeah, yesterday somebody was here to tell me that the mother from Dog Plain was kidnapped. And they were asking for money. The mother said, I prefer to die. Thirdly, there's contradiction now between the boys and the population. There are some cases, like in Bamenda, I got a letter from a priest in Bamenda who said there are tracts being thrown in the town which say, no school, no amber. Interpret that.
What's the meaning of that contradiction?
No school, no amber. Which means if the amber boys do not allow children to go to school, there will be no amber. Some parents are ready to fight back so that their children go to school. And in Mafe, the Bishop of Mafe said, almost all his schools are functioning now. No one can cite examples to show that what was happening yesterday is changing. And finally, many of these boys are coming now to see us. They don't go to see those people who are contradicting me.
But globally speaking, His Eminence, the number of deaths has increased in recent times.
No, that's not true. That is not true. I'm sorry to say that. To say today that the number of deaths have increased and yesterday is not true, because the people to be killed are no longer there. It's logical.
The attacks has also shifted from just vehicles to a Cameco Airbus, for instance. A Cameco Airbus that was attacked recently in the Bafut airport.
How many people were killed? None. No, I hold my position. It is mine. Any other person is free to hold his son. But I have reasons.
Christian Cardinal Toomey speaking to us in La Vérité en Face on Equinox Television, and I also asked the Cardinal what he thinks about the call for a political transition in Cameroon. Some Cameroonians, notably militants of the Cameroon People's Party, the CPP, the PAP, and of course the Stand Up for Cameroon Civil Society platform and others have been calling on Cameroonians to rise up and kick out the present regime and establish another regime that will take Cameroon out of the troubled waters and of course to prosperity. And the Cardinal said that he is not for a political transition, and if he's going to be for that, it can only be through the ballot box. Take a listen. His Eminence, there are some Cameroonians who think that beside all the things that have been said here and there, a reduction of the presidential term of office to 5 years, I think so, renewable ones and other things, the only solution that can heal the sick Cameroon, which you describe in your book, is a political transition. Cameroonians should rise up, according to some politicians, and kick out President Paul Biya
Politically,
to the Unity Palace.
No, physically, I'm against.
Change the whole system.
No, I'm against every
What do you think
violence.
about this?
I'm against every violence, whatever its nature.
Kawala, for example,
You
president
know-
of the CPP,
you know,
says
we
no
call
violence, no violence, but Cameroonians should
We
rise up
call
and
that
say, Mr.
in
President,
logic-
step down and give on to somebody else.
We call that in logic violence as an argument. We call that in logic baculum, argumentum ad baculum. Argument with a stick. You have to reason. The force of man is reason.
Those who are standing for this.
The force is animal, but the force of man is his intellect.
Those who are standing for this opposition quote the case of some African countries where the population rose up, took to the streets, and forced their president to step down, and another person took over power.
But
without violence.
Is the problem solved? Let's wait and see.
Christian Cardinal Tumi, Archbishop Emeritus of the Douala Metropolitan Archdiocese of the Roman Catholic Church and Chief Convener of the Anglophone General Conference, an event that never held. And now we're going to talk about infighting in the Cameroon People's Democratic Movement, CPDM political party in the Fako Division, southwest region of the country. The infighting has turned deadly, and recently it forced one of the MPs of the party, one of the parliamentarians of the party, to resign from that party. I'm talking about Honorable Fritz Ngeka Itoke, who resigned on the 22nd of November 2019 and is now a militant of the Social Democratic Front, heading the party's parliamentary list in the Fako East constituency. Since his resignation, he has not said a word, and he decided to talk to the inside. Take a listen to Honorable Fritz Ngeka Itoke.
Loma Stephen Joke, the vice chair of the traditional council, estimates that thousands are at risk if water is not made available now in Buea town.
The population that is at risk is about 10,000, and you can imagine, as we said, water is life.
At a time that cholera has already been confirmed in some part of the southwest region, Chief Robert Esuka Endeli says the water crisis is serious.
It is extremely serious. In my house, I've not had water for 2 weeks. I have to buy water on a daily basis to brush my teeth. The reason why we don't have water in Buea today is because SNEC thought that when they gave us water in 1975, the pipes of 1975 will carry the population of Buea in 2019. That's not possible.
I thank all una come here today.
The paramount chief-elect of Buea subdivision is sitting with his community leaders to discuss and kickstart a new phase of the Buea Town Community Water Project here at the wrestling field in Buea Town.
This is another phase of an initial project that kicked off about 15 years ago.
And for a speedy realization of this Buea Town Community Water Project, the management committee was put in place. It is now hoped that this project, sponsored by sons and daughters of this land, will be achieved soonest to enable this population on the foot of the Buea Mountain quench their thirst.
That was Brother Derek Jato, our correspondent in the Southwest region, reporting on the water crisis in the Southwest regional chief town, Buea. And I told you earlier that infighting in the Cameroon People's Democratic Movement, CPDM political party, has become deadly, and it recently forced one of the members of parliament of that political party to resign. Honorable Fritz Ngeka Itoke resigned from the CPDM on the 22nd of November 2019. And he is now a militant of the Social Democratic Front, heading the party's parliamentary list in the Fako East constituency ahead of the February 9, 2020 municipal and legislative elections in Cameroon. Since his resignation, he hasn't said a word. He decided to speak to the inside on Equinox television this weekend. Take a listen.
I realized that the head of state the national chairman of the CPTM party. Despite all his efforts to make sure that the party moves smoothly, some of his people down have decided to take the party hostage. I realized this during the reorganization in 2015. Some people think that CPDM is their private property. It isn't. Some of us were targets. 2015, some of us were victims because the text stipulated that to become a section president, you are supposed to live in the area where you are waiting for the position, or your office should be there. The exceptions were members of parliament and mayors. My office is in Mutengene, but to my greatest dismay, my list was rejected. I'm talking about 2015. The same with the mayor of Boya, the late mayor of Boya. May his soul rest in peace. That is Mr. Ekema Patrick Esunge. His list too was rejected. And their reason was that we're becoming too popular. The divisional coordinator for the CPTM party of Fako removed our names. It was an instruction because the person that was in charge in Tico called me and told me everything. I don't want to mention names here. The person that was in charge called me and said, "What? You are the most qualified. Why is it that they want to remove your name?" The same thing happened in Boya. I stayed calm. That didn't discourage me. I continued my parliamentary work. And these same people, for the past how many years I've been in parliament, it has been hell for me. I think the party gave power to the wrong people. We have people in the division who could as well handle position. You cannot be a member of parliament and you are the head controlling everybody. You want to make sure you put only your own people. No, CPTM party is a party. It's a rassemblement. It has to assemble everybody. Normally, everybody must not be your person. In the same party, we're supposed to be friends, but they did everything to make sure we are enemies. Sincerely speaking, resigning from the CPTM was a very difficult decision to take. I had to consult my population. I took the decision and they're happy. After my resignation, about 15 militants of the party have also resigned.
His Lordship Andrew Nkia takes over from His Lordship Cornelis Fontaine Eswa as new Archbishop of the Bamenda Diocese of the Roman Catholic Church. He has been appointed as the new Archbishop, and Bishop Andrew Nkia was the Bishop of Mamfe in the southwest region of the country before his appointment as new Archbishop of the Bamenda Diocese of the Roman Catholic Church. And this appointment comes on the heels of the appointment of the Auxiliary Bishop of Bamenda, His Lordship Michael Bibi, as Apostolic Administrator of the Boya Diocese to replace the former Bishop Emmanuel Bushu, who resigned according to canon law, which states that when an archbishop or a bishop reaches 75 years of age, he can write a letter to the Pope asking for a retirement or in his resignation. And when that is granted, he goes on retirement. Now we're going to end the first part of this newscast in Konsamba in the Mongo Division, littoral region of the country, where the execution of public contracts is delaying, and there are many of the contracts that are either poorly executed or not executed at all. And we have details in this report compiled by Immaculate Fogwe.
Number 1 subdivision in the Mongo Division of the littoral region is plagued with several developmental challenges. The mayor of the municipality says the abandonment of public contracts ranging from roads, health centers and other construction projects is a big impediment in his area. El Aj Omaru made a remark during the last council session, a situation which he strongly condemns. I am against some of these contractors who win contracts but are unable to deliver what is expected of them. I am calling on all those handling some of these contracts to complete their task. If not, sanctions will be given them. Municipal authorities claim that the total amount demanded by those in charge of the contracts was given to them, a situation which warrants no explanation for the delay. These projects were supposed to be completed because we have paid for all what was demanded, so such delayance is not called for. Al-Aj Umaru equally saluted the new decentralization bill that was recently adopted by Parliament. More than 700 million CFA francs was the amount adopted for the 2020 project in Kongsamba 1 municipality.
Talking Point is up next. Thanks for staying with us in Talking Point. We are receiving KABANG WALLA, Edith, National President of the Cameroon People's Party, the CPP. Madam the President, you're welcome.
Thank you very much. A very Merry Christmas to the Christians who are celebrating, and of course, Happy 2020 in advance.
Thanks, and the same to you.
Thank you.
We're going to start with the stand of Christian Cardinal Tumi, Archbishop of Douala, and one of the conveners of the Anglophone General Conference, who maintains that the situation is improving in Anglophone Cameroon. You were in Tiko this weekend to meet with some IDPs. What did you see? What did you hear?
The IDPs we met with are, of course, in dire straits. Some of them have been internally displaced now for over 2 years and are still living hand to mouth. They are still living hand to mouth, depending on strangers, depending on their hosts in the town of Tiko. We had people from Tiko, from Likumba, even as far as Boya, who were attending the event. So the situation of the IDPs is very, very difficult. But I want to say that, you see, the Cardinal's statement points to a much bigger problem, which is that because we have a government which has not established any indicators, because the Cardinal cannot, from his point of observation, he's a single person, he has not visited the 13 divisions of Northwest and Southwest. He has not been in contact with the millions of people who are affected by this crisis. And even if he had, you would need instruments. You know, a country is not run by one person's observation. It is run by instruments that measure what we call indicators. So what we can say,
he is also receiving information from other church officials,
sure,
the bishops who are in the different parts of the two Anglophone regions.
I'm very certain of that, and I'm certain that he is getting viable information. I think that he is honest when he says that from his perspective, he feels that things have improved. But as eminent as he is, we cannot take that to be an assessment of the situation, because we take some of the figures. The number of displaced continues to increase. It has not decreased. These are the figures of the UN offices of for humanitarian relief that we are using as sources of information. The number of people who are in urgent need of assistance within 2019 moved from about 1 million at the beginning of the year to 1.9 million by the end of the year. So that number has not decreased. We look at the economic situation, which one of your reports was also alluding to, which is another indicator, because we cannot say things are improving if people are not able to go back to their homes and they are not able to carry out their economic activities to take care of themselves. So an economic activity would be another indicator which we are not able to measure. He says that the more of the Catholic schools are functioning than before, which is a good statistic. But Catholics are not running all the schools in the 2 regions. So we would have needed a statistics that includes government schools, Catholic schools, Presbyterian schools, and private schools.
A global view of the situation.
A global view of the situation. And the problem we have is that the government of Cameroon, whose responsibility it is to provide such information, has neither put into place the means to actually measure these kind of indicators, nor do they bother to communicate to the rest of the country what is actually happening in the region. And we can conclude that even if things may improve for some portion of the population, things are not okay. We cannot say things are improving. This is a dire situation. People are still being killed on a daily basis. People are being displaced on a daily basis. People are hungry. You know, Stand Up for Cameroon, we were not only in Tico, we spent the whole of last week in the northwest. We went to Bafut, went to Bali, we went to Bamenda. We went round, and people are hungry. You know, it is very, very drastic when a northwest person is hungry. This is a region where people are used to working on their farms and being able to fend for themselves. So the situation is dire. The situation is dire. We cannot try to brush it in a positive light.
You said the people are still being killed as of now, as we speak. But when you listen to the Cardinal, he says that contrary to figures that are being presented by non-governmental organizations and even international bodies with regards to the number of deaths that are recorded in those 2 regions, he says those figures are not true. That the number of deaths has not increased.
I don't know on what basis that. And
this is what the government also is saying, that NGOs are inflating figures.
No, the government, we should really, in 2020, we must stop having this joke of a government. It is a joke of a government, because for any government, the life of your citizen is the most important thing. And this government, I can tell you, we at the level of the Cameroon People's Party, we have been asking them since 2014, when Boko Haram started. This is a government that does not provide statistics on how many people have been killed, how many are displaced, how many are in need of X or Y services. If the government is disputing, I would ask them, where are your statistics? Don't dispute other people's statistics. Produce your own and show us what is the methodology that you used to produce those statistics. I can tell you, I receive IDPs in Douala here every day, and we have taken the pains to find out which government offices in Douala has the responsibility of receiving IDPs and recording IDPs, and we discovered there is none. There is no central government place where if you are an IDP, you arrive in Douala, you go there and at least register your name so that government knows that you are an IDP.
Recently we met
so if we don't have it in Douala, it means they don't have it in Bafoussam, it means they don't have it in Boya, they don't have it. So on what basis is the government disputing?
Recently we met with a family here in Douala harboring more than 300 IDPs. And the head of the family said he has written to the officials that be, and until now, no response. But why should a plan be put in place, a plan of about 13 million francs CFA, a humanitarian plan, and people are still suffering? People are still waiting for the aids, waiting to no avail.
13 billion. It was not 13 million, it was 13 billion with a B. So we should know that. I don't know where government has kept this money. My tendency is that they have stolen it as usual. But we do not see on the field. I fully believe the gentleman when he says he has written to government, because I can tell you that our organization has attempted to find housing, because when they go round and they give rice and they give mattresses to people, this is not the job of government. This is the job of people like ourselves when we go to give a temporary, occasional, short-term helping hand. Government has to look at the needs of that population and provide them with an alternative means to live. That means housing, it means schooling, it means trying to find some economic activity so that people can take care of themselves. It means health care, including, I was watching one of your reports there with the lady who had 9 children, who is clearly suffering from psychological trauma. And we are seeing this on the field everywhere. It is heartbreaking. We saw it. Our members were in the Northwest for 10 days last week. We saw it. We went to the Southwest yesterday. We saw it. The government has not put into place any means for people, for the psychological trauma. Do you know what it means to see somebody be killed? Perhaps that person is your child or your family member. Do you know what it means to lose one or more family members? What it means to be uprooted from your home?
And the lady you mentioned,
the government is
earlier,
joking around.
Doctors advise her to remain calm when she hears gunshots, because just the fact that her heartbeat,
of course,
skyrockets when she hears gunshots, she can die.
And she is not alone. The type of report she is giving, if you go to the field, you will find that hundreds of people are suffering from this. We have received IDPs. I can tell you, even a family member of mine in my home, a baby who, when they were hearing the gunshots, when they were in the Southwest, when those gunshots would come, people would scream and the whole place would be in alarm. So this baby, she stays in the house, and if a door bangs, the baby trembles because of that fright that she has been used to with a loud noise. So the trauma is real in this population. We should not joke around and try to diminish. I don't even understand what is the purpose of trying to act as if a situation which is very, very critical is not.
Now, another information that is raising lots of questions is the information concerning an NGO, a non-governmental organization, which the Minister of Territorial Administration in a press conference in Yaoundé said was intercepted in the Southwest region transporting guns. Even though the name of the NGO is not known, the place where the NGO was intercepted is not known, but this information is raising lots of questions in public.
So the Minister of Territorial Administration should stop joking around and do his job. A minister, a responsible minister, cannot come to the public. Either the information is private and they are still investigating, in which case he should keep it quiet, or they have done an investigation and he's able to provide us with facts. A minister's job is not to give rumors to the population.
And the issue is raising concerns as to questions that had been earlier, that was earlier in the public, people asking, but these guns that are being used by the separatists, by the civilians, where are they coming from? How are they getting to them? How are they getting across the borders and so on?
Exactly. And it is the job of a government to ensure our security, all of us. So if this government has information that people are smuggling in guns, they need to provide facts across which border, through which means, that is a severe criminal act, a very severe criminal act. If people are caught with arms which they don't have licenses to carry. So we cannot have a government who is putting out rumors as if it is a joke, when we are talking about the security of the population and the security of the nation.
Edith KABANG, WALLA, National President of the Cameroon People's Party, the CPP. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for staying with us.